Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you are all well and are keeping safe, and in today's video I will be going through my firstborn's birth story to give you a little insight of how it was and maybe how my second birth might go, fingers crossed. So I got pregnant with Amelia in 2014 and she came in February 2015. I was given the due date of February the 1st, but she didn't decide to come then. So February the 1st came and went. I had no sign of her. And I mean, I wasn't expecting her to come, to be fair, because most babies don't come. Let me just move you. Most babies don't actually come on their due date. So I wasn't expecting her to come, to be fair. And then the day after, so it would have been the 2nd of February, I woke up and my bed was wet. I didn't think anything of it at first because I got up and I left the bed. But when I went back to the bed, there was a patch what was a little bit wet. And I was like, oh. I checked my underwear and it was wet. And obviously I sniffed it and I didn't wee myself. Because everyone knows when you're pregnant, your bladder's really weak. And if you need to go to the toilet, you need to go to the toilet. But it wasn't wee. So I phoned up my maternity ward and they gave me a time to go in to get checked in case it was my waters. So I had a shower, I got myself ready, done what I needed to do, and I went up to the maternity ward where they checked me. And they said that my front waters hadn't went, they were still there. But she wasn't too sure if it was my back waters. But as she was doing them checks, she realised that my blood pressure was through the roof. It was really, really high. And I had a low pulse, which obviously them two together, they didn't like. So they said that they was going to keep me in and get me sorted to be induced. So I had to stay in. They gave me some medicine. I don't know what the medicine was, but it was to bring down my blood pressure. And I think after a couple of doses, that worked. So the day after, which was the 3rd, which was a Tuesday, I had a sweep, but still no signs of her coming, which was a bit rubbish. I felt a bit deflated by them. Yeah, sorry. I was just reading my notes. Yeah, so the 3rd, nothing happened. I had a sweep and she weren't budging. She must have been comfy. And I remember the people in the ward who was by me were all having their babies. And I wasn't. That night I had the most terriblest heartburn I've ever had in my whole life. It was vile. So I had some medicine for my heartburn. Again, I stayed in there overnight, nothing happened. The 4th of February, I had another sweep, and this time, straight after my sweep, I went to the toilet and my mucus plug started to come away. So I kind of thought things were going somewhere right about now, but obviously having your plug go, you still can have weeks or days before you have the baby. So I wasn't overly impressed with it, and I didn't think that the baby was coming. I had no other pains or anything other than like your normal pregnancy pains, like your hips and your body aching and whatnot, but no period cramp sores or anything. So on the evening of the 4th, I was induced. I had the pessary put in at around 7 p.m. and I didn't feel anything. It was a bit uncomfortable, but it wasn't painful. It was just a bit uncomfortable. So I had that put by 7 p.m. By I'd say about midnight was when I started to get quite uncomfortable. I had quite mild period pains, but I just put it down to like pregnancy, because you do get pains. So the early hours of the 5th, I started to get quite mild cramps, and then as the hours went by, I managed to get a little bit of sleep, but they did progress. I wasn't timing them because I didn't. I had a little bit of paracetamol to take the edge off it, and then I went to the toilet at 6 AM and my pessary had fell out, which the pessary is just like a little thin cotton if you haven't had it before, and they said that if it comes out and nothing happens then they'll do it again. But anyway, 6 AM came and my pessary fell out while I was having a wee, and then my pain started getting stronger. I remember walking to the toilet and I felt like the baby was between my legs. She obviously wasn't, but that's what it felt like. So I went to the toilet, the pessary fell out, I come back, and by the time I got back my pains had got really, really strong. By that point my mum and my friend, yeah, so after 6 AM I went back to bed, I went to the toilet, and then by the time I got out my friend and my mum was there, and the pain was really strong. I had to hug my mum and said this is painful because the pain's got quite strong. I was then examined by the midwife who does her rounds, and she said that I was 5 centimetres dilated and that I could be moved to the delivery suite to have my waters popped. So at about 11 AM my waters were burst. And again, I don't really remember that. They offered me gas and air, but I didn't need it. I was like, no, it's fine at that point. So they popped my waters, and that was about 11 o'clock. And then I'm just looking down at my notes here. I went on gas and air then because that's when my contractions started. As soon as my waters were popped, about 10 minutes afterwards when my contractions really started, and they were one after the other. So I'd have one contraction, it would stop, and then the other one would start straight after. So I went on a gas and air, and then between 11, I'd say about between 11:30 and 2, they made me get onto, you know, the big yoga balls that they have in the birthing suites. She made me get on with them because the baby wasn't coming any more down. And oh my God, I've never felt so much pain in my whole life. It really, really makes me tense up thinking about it now. It was basically, she made me bounce on the ball, and I generally felt like Amelia's head was in my foof. I really did. It was so painful. And there was like, you have to keep bouncing. I was like, I can't. It's really painful. I must have lasted about 5 minutes on this ball. And I was like, no, I can't do it anymore. So I got back on the bed, and then at about 2 o'clock, I then started pushing to get the baby down and to get her out. And then at 2:33, Amelia came into the world crying her eyes out. And I remember when I first saw her, and I thought, whoa, she's really, really big. Obviously, when you get hand this baby, she had really big chubby cheeks, big bright blue eyes. And I thought she was really big. But she was only born at £6.9, which is really small. And she was a small baby for a while. She was still in 6 to 9 month clothes at the age of 1, so she was really small. She still is actually. But yeah, so after the birth I then delivered the placenta after I had the injection, which was fine. I had to have a stitch. I had to be stitched up because I tore, so they'd done that. I delivered my placenta. They'd done all the checks on Amelia and everything was fine for her. She came out perfect. And then I had some tea and some toast, which is the best, isn't it, when you have tea and toast after your birth, especially because I'd not ate anything all that day. I probably had a little bit of water, but I hadn't ate anything. And then I had a shower, and then I got sent up to the ward where we spent our first night together, and then the following day we got discharged from hospital. So that was my birth story with Amelia. If you would like to know any more, or if there's anything that you didn't understand, feel free to write it in the comments and I will get back to you. So as I was saying, I hope that this second baby's birth was as easy as that, because in total I was only in active labour for about 4 hours and pushing for about half an hour, which I think was pretty good going for my first baby. But obviously that could have just been because I was induced, and they do say that when you're induced, things go really quick, don't they? So I suppose we'll just have to wait to see in a couple of months to see if this little girl's birth is the same. So thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then don't forget to give it a like for me.